guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back at it here at Jacobs Mitsubishi in Newport Richey, Florida. And guess what? I have probably one of the most unique vehicles you will ever see here on Rady's Rides. It's this right here. This is a one-of-one US Specialty Vehicles Hamba. But before we get into this large and in charge paramilitary spec vehicle, let's talk about what's going on here. So US Specialty Vehicles, also known as USSV, actually builds vehicles for the Fast and the Furious franchise of movies. And this Hamba looks like it rolled right off one of the movie sets from Fast and the Furious. Now, if you're wondering what the heck is Hamba, what does that mean? It actually means strong in Japanese. And this vehicle looks like it's strong enough to drive right through a freaking brick wall. Now, what's fascinating is that this vehicle sits on a Ford F-150 chassis. Huh? Plus, what's nuts is that it's just a two-door. It's meant to be this fast-moving paramilitary style vehicle with a lot of special touches, especially on the interior when it comes to premium materials. But what I want to find out is, if you're looking for a Fast and Furious vehicle, does this one check off all the boxes? Let's go ahead, let's dive into this Hamba and find out. Right off the bat, it just grabs your attention. You're like, what in the heck is it? But I think one of the things that makes it so unique is it just being a two-door. Now, the front of the business, you're gonna notice all of the shapely, crafted metal bodywork. So at the front end, round headlights with that LED headlight beam, and then you're gonna find LED turn signals built into the front fascia. Now, everything, like I said, you're gonna find nice composite materials, metal, and everything in between. You got this massive stamped steel front bumper. This is that part that will just rip right through a brick wall. And then as we come down, check out how they shaped the lower corner here. You can actually see all of that suspension. It's actually made by a company called Bulletproof, and it's there to give you that bulletproof off-road quality and reliability that you want. Now, upper and lower control arms are all custom made. This vehicle has so many hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours of customization, that this is the end result of all that work. Now, as you come across the front of this military style vehicle, you'll notice all the metal, that stamped steel front bumper. You got a tow recovery hook. You can pull Vin Diesel's Charger right out of the mud when he's going off-roading with it. And then as we work our way down, notice how they shape this lower grill area to give it a better approach angle, and then you have this protection here for all of the heat exchangers that lie behind it. Now, I'm gonna have Steven kind of swing all the way around because it's impressive the work that they did on that lower control arm, the upper control arm, those springs, the remote reservoir. Everything has been beefed up to take one hell of a beating with this Hamba. Now, as we rise up, very unique hood, the way that it's shaped, that trapezoid design. You do get a bulge. You got a metal bulge, so you can put away the cup, you can put away your stuffed socks to get that bulge. This thing has that bulge. Underneath the hood, we got V8 power, so get ready for that. When we come around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tires. So what you're gonna find, 35-inch tires on these massive, intense wheels that are all beadlock. And if you look at all the shield protection to protect the sidewall, but 35-inch tire on these wheels. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what is the size of this wheel? 17 inches in diameter. Tires, like I said, are gonna be able to grapple, rock crawl, off-road. This thing is meant to not get stuck anywhere. You'll notice how they did the fender flare, almost like a stealth fighter design. And then as we come down the side, you have the flat black on your mirror cast. Now, what's interesting is that here's where you see some of the parts of the Ford F-150. This side mirror is right off an F-150 with your turn signals. They decided to do this silver trim around the window openings, and then they left the chrome door handle from the Ford F-150. This actually started off life as a single cab short bed F-150, and they actually did a lot of work to get the wheelbase to be what it is, because remember, you have the two-door, but then you're also going to have rear seats. Now, it doesn't have rear doors, but you do have rear seats on the interior. You'll notice the railing up top in the bright silver, and then these frame sliders with those nice metal running boards, very, very strong and going to take a beating over time. Now, as we come down the side of the vehicle, like I said, it's all about that stealth fighter design. Everything's flat black with the way it's powder coated. Coming around the back, very interesting. It almost reminds me of the original Lamborghini SUV. And what I mean by that is just the way that it's sloped back. Taillights, everything around, you can see the full LED. Those are your reverse lights, of course. We do have a backup camera, and you have your button here to lift the rear lift gate. But really one of those vehicles, like I said, you drive this down the road, people are going to be looking. I guarantee you. You think they look at Cybertrucks? They're going to look at this more than a Cybertruck. Now, as we work our way down, you do have these stainless steel trim rings because there is functional exhaust on both sides. And then you have that stamped steel rear bumper. So if you want to back through somebody's house, like just throw it in reverse and just drive right through their house, you have that capability with those stamped steel bumpers. But why don't we go ahead, let's talk about what's underneath the hood and powering this Hamba. All right, guys, we got that massive hood to showcase for you at the front end. What is underneath the hood? It's actually going to surprise you. It is a 5-liter V8 out of a Ford Mustang. So you're looking at 460 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque, and it's bolted to a 10-speed automatic. Of course, you're going to have all of that power, but the vehicle does way more than the Ford F-150 that it started as, or even a Mustang. Now, the whole point of this vehicle was to advertise, to get people interested in a two-door off-road military style vehicle, and that's why this vehicle is so very rare. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and hear what it sounds like. Hi guys, we are inside this one-of-one 2019. It's based on a 2019 Ford F-150 chassis. This is that USSV Hamba. Now I know you're probably saying to yourself, well Joe, I like unique vehicles. I want to surprise everybody when I'm going down the road. And of course, I love Fast and the Furious. I mean, I have cardboard cutouts of all the actors in my man cave. So I'm really wanting this Hamba. How much is it? Well, let me tell you this. It took over $100,000 to build this. Believe it or not. Asking price, $45,994. And it only has about 1,300 miles on it. So it's barely broken in. But let's see what type of military style vehicle trim do we get on the interior. You're going to be surprised. To the door panels, all premium leather. You'll notice the two-tone with the red and the black, that diamond stitching, no gloss black, and then of course, because it's based on a Ford F-150, you have door pockets that are large enough for two 12-inch meatball subs from Subway. Going from the door panel to the dash, this is all Ford F-150. You do have your Twinkie tray. You're gonna have to put them long ways in here, so you're not gonna be able to get your baker's dozen, maybe about 8 or 9. You do have a 12 volt. And then it has this custom Alpine infotainment system. All touchscreen, your backup camera, all the different adjustments. You have your 7-Eleven hot dog holder up top. Keep your hot dogs nice and warm in the sun. Digital readouts on the AC control. So this is your blower fan, that's your temperature. Like the way everything's got that blue LED lighting. You got a place here for about 14 Jolly Ranchers. You can lock the rear diff. You even have trailer backup assist. USB-A, another 12 volt. And then what's interesting, no center console, which is a zonk because there's no captain's chair armrest. There's nowhere to put your arm. So my advice is get that pillow stuffed animal that you bought of Vin Diesel and keep that in here, and you could just rest your muscles on his muscles. And then the seats, the high quality leather, the diamond stitching. What's fascinating is that they're manual controls for the passenger and the driver. And then on top of that, we do have rear seats, but I'm actually going to get back there, but not yet. Not yet. I got to prepare myself for that. Alcantara all over the headliner, the A pillars. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel in this Hamba. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel of this Hamba. You got, like I said, that large side step area, all custom built. Seats are very comfortable. I just wish they would have put electric assist, especially if they're trying to sell this as a luxury paramilitary vehicle. Luxury means power seats. This doesn't have power seats. It has heated seats, no ventilated seats, so that's another zonk right off the top. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of room in here. You do get a special leather two-tone steering wheel. It is a manual tilting and telescoping wheel. The ugliest horn button in God's creation. That would have been nice if they made a custom horn button. And then you have your stock dash setup. Analog tach, analog speedometer, gauges across the top, and then you have that 5-inch digital display in the center there where you could scroll through different information very, very easily. Shifter is that 10-speed and it is mounted on the column. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the back seat and see what it's like sitting in this Hamba. All right, guys, back seat time in the Hamba. And I'm glad these seats are soft because this is pretty much how I got to sit back here. If I try to sit up, you're cracking your head on that headliner or on the glass back here. But you do have a lot of shoulder room and space. They did all custom stitching with the leather, the Alcantara around the windows. It's crazy to think that this was once a Ford F-150. Pull that down. Got your nice armrest. Look at that. All the controls. Got place for your Skittles. Push it back. It's just very uncomfortable back here sitting like this. That's all I got to say. But why don't we go ahead? There is a cargo area. Don't concern yourself. You could basically fit about 4 carry-on luggage bags. What you should be concerned about is I'm getting ready to drive this on the freaking public roads. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go for a spin in this Hamba. All right, guys, we left Jacobs Mitsubishi. We're in this 2019 Ford-based US Specialty Vehicles Hamba. And right away, what's surprising is this truck is very easy to drive. I thought this thing was gonna be difficult because it's just so large, but really the hardest thing is making a U-turn. I advise if you're gonna do a U-turn in this, you better have lots of room and lots of patience because it is very cumbersome. Now, the great news is because it is based on the Ford platform, all of the things with the vehicle are all serviceable drivetrain wise at your local Ford dealership, which is kind of nuts. Lots of room on the interior, and of course you have these really comfortable seats. I do like how comfortable the seats are in this beast. Getting to the Alpine infotainment system is well within reach. And I think the thing you're gonna like the most is you have that naturally aspirated V8 power. All right, guys, if you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle, here we go. 10-speed drops down and we are off and running. Now, because of the extra weight of this vehicle, acceleration is not very crisp. That's for sure. And having to spin those freaking intense off-road wheels and the 35-inch off-road tires. But the torque is linear, and with the bulletproof suspension, the ride quality is actually really good. But as you can see, it's it's fun to drive, and it's not difficult to drive, which is nice. But man, people are looking at me like, what in the heck is that? They don't know what to think, because I don't even know what to think. But really just a nice, unique vehicle to stand out from the crowd, that's for sure. You're really gonna stand out from the crowd in this thing. Got the big bulge in the hood, ready to drive through one of these homes with no issues. And like I said, just very spacious on the interior because it's built on a single cab Ford F-150 setup. This thing is wild. It really is. But the seats are comfy, and the fact that it's got a V8, I think, checks off a lot of people's boxes. Plus, like I said, it's one of one. If you are tired of showing up to your local Cars and Coffee event and you see, you know, 100 Corvettes, 50 Ferraris, nobody's showing up in one of these. I promise you that. Of course, with the way the suspension is set up, it's more for an off-road spec, not a corner carver spec, but still very manageable, very controllable, and it's not hard to keep in the lane, so that's good news. I was a little worried. That's why I was worried. I thought it would, because it's so wide, it was gonna be hard to keep in its lane, but it isn't. But man, this thing is a neck breaker, because I see people just breaking their necks left and right. They seriously don't know what to think. Ten-speed shifts well. Air works fantastic, so that's a big plus, especially here in Florida. But just, this is one of those moments that I'm glad I get to bring to you, because I, you know, obviously like to bring the new stuff, but I also like to bring unique stuff that you're just not gonna find just anywhere. But I'm hoping that this has been a good overall quick review of the Hamba, one of one. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right guys, another crazy day here at Jacobs Mitsubishi. Definitely gotta thank Kevin and John and the rest of the crew getting us access to this one of one, the Hamba by US Specialty Vehicles. Let me know what you think. Is this the fast and furious vehicle you want to show up at your local Cars and Coffee event to just get everybody's attention? Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rides family. Gotta give it up to the Flood man. He was taken aback by this vehicle, but he made the movie magic happen. No matter how weird a vehicle looks, Steven will make it happen. So thank you, Steven, for your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.